Welcome, Felix, to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a really fascinating journey, plunging into the dynamic and, well, ever evolving property market of a truly iconic destination. When I say iconic, I mean a place that often conjures images of stunning beaches, vibrant culture, but its real estate story is actually far more complex, more compelling, really, than a postcard might suggest. Our focus for this deep dive is the property scene in Phuket. That's Phuket, and it's pronounced Phuket, definitely not Phuket, as some might mistakenly say. It's Phuket.
Mm.
We're drawing our insights today from an incredibly detailed article. It's called Emerging Phuket Property Markets to Watch Now, and it's published by Ocean Worldwide.
Yes, and that's a really important source. Ocean Worldwide isn't just any agency. They're a luxury real estate agency based right there in Phuket, and they've been there since 2004. Their focus is very specific, luxury residential real estate. Primarily in Phuket, naturally, but also in Koh Samui. And what really gives them credibility is that long-standing experience. The director, Sandra O'Neill, she's personally helped, well, thousands of families of property investors navigate this exact market over many, many years. That kind of deep on-the-ground knowledge. It's invaluable, really, especially in a market as dynamic as Phuket's.
Exactly. That deep local knowledge is precisely what makes this source so rich. So our mission today, for you, Felix, is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from this article. We want you to quickly grasp what's truly significant about Phuket's real estate evolution. Whether you're just curious about global trends, maybe planning a future trip, or even thinking about an investment. Okay, let's unpack this. Right, let's start by setting the scene. Because what's happening in Phuket's property market, it's a profound transformation. For decades, if you thought Phuket property, your mind probably went straight to those idyllic beachfront villas, didn't it? That classic image of island paradise.
Hmm.
But this article makes it abundantly clear. Phuket is moving way beyond that traditional beach-centric focus. The market isn't just about beachfront anymore.
That really is the heart of it. The core shift, as the source details, is this noticeable, significant move inland. And it's not random expansion. It's driven by, well, a desire for better infrastructure, a more, let's say, urban and genuinely integrated lifestyle. What's really interesting here is that this isn't just about tourists anymore. Families, long-term residents, they're now actively looking for convenience, for amenities that you often find further from the coast. They want more than just a holiday spot. They're looking for a sustainable place to live. And that's fundamentally changing Phuket's identity from just a beach getaway into, well, a proper international city.
That's a really powerful distinction, a complete reimagining of what Phuket offers. It's not just more properties, it's a shift in the purpose of living there. Huge implications for long-term investors or, like you said, people thinking about a lifestyle change.
Precisely. And this shift is fundamentally linked to infrastructure. These improvements are playing a crucial role in Phuket's urbanization and, naturally, its property market growth. Take the road network, for instance. There's been significant investment in roads, making previously harder to reach inland areas much more accessible. The source even highlights a planned expressway that's expected to be a, quote, game changer. It'll drastically cut travel times. And this improved connectivity. It naturally makes properties in these areas more attractive. The article reports property value increases of something like 5 to 10% just due to better road access. That's pretty remarkable just from roads.
It really is a huge impact for something so basic, really. And it's not just the ground level stuff, right? The airport is another massive piece of this.
Well, absolutely. Phuket International Airport's redevelopment is having an immense impact. Increased capacity means, quite simply, more visitors. But the key insight here is it's more than just volume. It's attracting a more diverse range of visitors, including those perhaps with greater spending power, maybe a stronger inclination towards longer stays or investing. The airport upgrade signals a clear commitment to growth, basically, and the source notes a 7% increase in tourism-related property investment directly linked to this expansion. It builds confidence, you see. And then there are the new medical facilities. This is maybe quieter, but it's an equally powerful driver. It really supports that idea of Phuket as a long-term home. Modern medical centers like the new Grad facility in Wang Mai, they attract both local and international residents looking for top-tier healthcare. And that, in turn, fuels demand for housing nearby. Plus, you've got this whole burgeoning wellness scene, new gyms, recovery studios opening up. It all contributes. The article even mentions reported 8 to 12% rental yields for properties near these new medical facilities. It's about creating a complete environment for living, not just vacationing.
Right. So For you, Felix, listening in, these infrastructure upgrades have direct, tangible benefits. Better roads mean easier access, maybe opening up new investment spots. The expanded airport brings in more potential buyers or long-term residents, and better medical care. That fundamentally lifts Phuket's livability factor, making it much more attractive for families, retirees, anyone thinking longer term about health and well-being. So, Felix, we've talked about these broader shifts and the crucial infrastructure changes literally paving the way for a new Phuket. But where exactly on the island are these big shifts happening? Where should your focus be if you're looking beyond those famous tourist beaches?
Yeah, good question. And the article points to several key emerging districts that are really worth watching. First, there's the rise of Jampa and Manik. These areas, just north of Chengtale, they're becoming hotspots. Why? Well, it seems to be about easy access to the airport, the main highway, plus they're close to Bangtao, which is already popular. You're seeing major developments there, like the Trivananda Wellness Community, and villa projects from well-known names like Botanica and Anchan. They're known for luxury, for quality. But what's really key here, I think, is the presence of international schools, like UWC. That's a huge draw for families looking for spacious living and active lifestyle. It signals a real shift towards long-term residence, not just holiday homes. People are actually moving there. Then you have Klok. Its transformation is almost entirely down to infrastructure, specifically that nearly finished four-lane north-south road. That road is making the area so much more accessible and attractive for development. It's shifting from being a bit quiet and remote to potentially a fast-growing hub. Connectivity is unlocking its potential. And finally, let's look at Wang Mai. It's strategically located, isn't it? Near the airport and the Blue Canyon Country Club, this area is seeing a surge. That new multi-million-dollar Bumrungrad Medical Center we mentioned, that's here. Proximity to the airport is a big plus for frequent travelers, and that medical center is definitely going to drive demand for homes nearby. And get this, Central Patana, a major Thai developer, is planning 9 new residential projects in this area alone. That tells you something about the anticipated growth.
Wow, 9 projects. It's clear each of these areas has its own unique appeal, its own promise. They're not just expanding Phuket geographically, they're really shifting the island's economic and residential focus, creating these distinct new communities. Okay, shifting gears a bit, let's talk current market dynamics. The article mentions strong sales activity in early 2024, especially in places like Bangtao and Rawai, driven largely by international buyers coming back strong and tourism bouncing back post-pandemic. There was real momentum.
That's right. And what's interesting is the clear outperformance of what they call branded properties. So these are condos and villas linked to well-known brands, often international ones. They seem to be selling faster and at higher prices. Suggests buyers value that reputation, quality, maybe the professional management that comes with it. But while demand was strong, the market is also showing signs of, let's call it, softening. It's a natural adjustment, really, mostly due to rising inventory and more competition. To put some numbers on that, as of early 2025, the market has over 40,000 residential units for sale across the island.
Yeah.
That's a lot of supply. It signals a market that's maturing fast, becoming more competitive. Condos make up the bulk of this, roughly 83% of the total, over 33,000 units across 124 projects. But interestingly, there's also a noticeable increase in landed property options, villas, townhouses, nearly 7,000 units available. This caters to buyers wanting more space, more privacy, maybe moving away from high-rises. This increased supply naturally is likely to put some pressure on prices as competition heats up, which, can be a challenge for developers, but maybe an opportunity for savvy buyers.
Yeah.
Right. So just to give you some concrete figures, Felix, for reference, if you're looking at villas, the article suggests expecting upwards of, say, 15 to 24 million Thai baht for a decent 3 or 4 bed in places like Rawai. For condos, prices are more in the 3.5 to 8 million Thai baht range. Depends hugely on size, view, location within the project, obviously, and land. If you're thinking about building, prime residential plots might go for 15 to 25,000 Thai baht per square meter, maybe even higher for those premium sea views. It gives you a solid baseline anyway. Now, beyond just the homes themselves, Phuket's commercial side is also evolving significantly. And this is critical, isn't it? It's not just about housing people, it's about creating the whole environment that supports this growing population and their changing lifestyle needs. Part of that maturing process we mentioned.
That's exactly right. And what's fascinating is the sophisticated approach here. 7 new retail and lifestyle projects recently launched big expansions at Central Phuket, the Siam Premium Outlet. But these aren't just malls. They're designed to create experiences, blending shopping with leisure, entertainment, maybe even cultural stuff. They're catering to more diverse demands now, developing destinations within the destination, if you like. And zooming out a bit, we're seeing the rise of proper mixed-use hubs. Developers like Sansiri are integrating residential, commercial, and leisure spaces really well. This turns areas into vibrant, dynamic living environments. You get convenience co-working spaces, health-conscious cafes literally downstairs. It creates synergy, making both the commercial and residential parts more appealing. And there's also this strong focus on creating vibrant, walkable communities. Rawlings Municipality, for example, is actively improving its coastal infrastructure to support this. That encourages community feel, active lifestyles, and just genuinely improves the quality of life.
And you see businesses thriving in these new communities. Boutique fitness studios, artisan coffee shops, healthy restaurants, lots of co-working spaces popping up. It caters to this evolving resident profile, changing how people live and work there.
That blend, livability, convenience, community really speaks to the shift we're talking about. So let's touch on the outlook for 2025. The article describes it as cautious optimism amidst challenges. It acknowledges the competitive pressure on prices from all these new developments. And of course, global uncertainty is always a background factor for international markets.
Which raises the question, how resilient is Phuket? And the answer, according to this source, seems to be remarkably so. It shows strong long-term potential. Why? Well, there are several strong demand generators. You've got the consistently thriving tourism sector, of course. You've got a growing expatriate community choosing Phuket for its lifestyle. And, importantly, increasing domestic demand from Thais looking for holiday homes or investments. What's also really interesting is this trend of lifestyle migration and the digital nomad boom. Remote work becoming more common has genuinely fueled relocation to Phuket. People are drawn by the lifestyle, the environment, the relatively lower cost of living compared to, say, major Western cities. The island's south, especially, is becoming known as a hub for, quote, quiet productivity. People blending work with that relaxed tropical setting. It's a significant long-term driver. And the market itself is adapting. Developers are focusing more on specific buyer groups, tailoring their offerings. So you find everything from more budget-friendly condos for young professionals to huge luxury villas. This diversity keeps the market relevant. For instance, the article mentions AssetWise Piled, a big developer, apparently reducing new project launches but focusing sharply on quality locations. That shows strategic adaptation, doesn't it?
And speaking of quality locations focused on lifestyle, the article briefly touches on Phuket South. Steady growth, thoughtful projects there. It emphasizes the area isn't about massive malls or big brands, but more about genuine livability, community, boutique villas, beachfront condos, maybe with private pools, good management, easy access to amenities. It sounds like a really considered approach, creating places where people actually live.
Yeah, so if we kind of pull all this together, Phuket's property scene is definitely growing up. It's shifting away from being just about the beaches towards something much more complex, urbanized, multifaceted, a sophisticated real estate ecosystem, really.
Exactly. And that maturation means more diverse property options and, crucially, stronger long-term potential for investors. The article really makes the point that Phuket's real estate market is now a key economic driver in its own right up there alongside tourism. It's become a powerhouse.
And just to throw a couple of final, quite impressive figures out there, the current value of just the branded residences on the island already passed USD 2.3 billion. And the total market, currently 40,600 residential units listed for sale across 343 active developments. That breaks down into 33,704 condos in 124 projects and 6,896 landed properties, villas, and townhouses. Those numbers really show the scale and maturity of this evolving market.
So Felix, what's the big takeaway for you from this deep dive? I think it's clear Phuket's property market is changing dramatically. It's really not just about those famous beaches anymore. Those inland areas are rapidly gaining prominence as the island builds a much more comprehensive identity.
Absolutely. The island is becoming a genuinely international community, adapting impressively to global trends. And while, yes, new supply and global factors add complexity, Phuket shows remarkable resilience and a clear path forward for both residents and investors.
So the final thought for you to ponder: given this clear shift towards a more urbanized, diversified, and amenity-rich environment, what new opportunities or maybe lifestyle choices might Phuket's evolving landscape open up for your future considerations? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.